Alrighty, welcome back. We're at it again. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a wheel well for this car. We got some welding to do. I just started doing some welding across the back there. Jolene will do pop in every once in a while and do some. But basically we got some welding and grinding. It's hard to show welding and grinding, but what I can show is we need a couple wheel wells for this car. And it's kind of what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it, it's kind of a universal thing what I'm going to do to make a wheel well for a bolt-on fender like this, say a 40s car, a 30s car, a 20s car, whatever. If you want to make a wheel well of any sort, really, it's pretty basic, and I'm going to make it as basic as possible or simple as possible, the easiest way that I know how. The wheel well, if you look in this car, you can see that it's all welded up here. It's got pieces put in here that are bent over. I'm going to end up replacing this here. It's kind of beat up a little bit. It's got some weld marks going on, piece put in there. It's got a piece laid in here and beat over top of here. It's got this part of the, I don't know what it is, if it's the fender or what it is, but that's welded on there. We're going to get rid of that. It's got a big patch there. And if Jolene wants to take a look on the inside, you can sure see how it's rodded and welded to the floor. You can see all the holes in it. Basically, that'd be a hard fix, really. And the reason being is be hard fix because there's so much going on there. I just see one panel going in, and I want to show you how I would do it and how easy it can be if you want to make it easy. That's what I'm going to show you. Also, yesterday, putting the piece in on top of the door, I kind of noticed it had it kicked up on the end here. A ruler's a nice thing to check out whether you're going in the right place. And now I've got this put down a little bit, and I got it beat on there a little better. So now I got it looking a little better. I'm happier now. I had this stuck up in the air there earlier, but I got it better now. I can put a little filler on that, and that'll be awesome. I got the other side done, and the other side I didn't grind it off, but I welded it on. It went better than this side actually, but it went well. Let's make a wheel well. So these are fiberglass fenders that I have that came with the car. We have one steel one outside. We have two really nice, actually the fenders and the hood and that sort of stuff are really good shape on this car. The two front fenders are really good shape. I got one brand new back fender that's steel, and I would possibly look for another one that's steel. But we also have two fiberglass fenders here, and I'm going to use them to make the wheel well. You can take the shape off of what's going on there, but I'm basically going to show you how I'm going to do it. There's the fender. I got a sheet of 18 gauge. I'll grab that right this minute. Bring it over. Look at that now, would you? I booby-trapped myself, sweetheart. I booby-trapped myself. I got a piece of 18 gauge here. I use 18 gauge generally for everything, and the reason being is I find that it's a lot of metal. It's thick. It doesn't warp that easy. You know, it warps obviously, but it doesn't warp that easy. I'd like if you have to grind it, you've got something to grind. Let's face it, the thinner the metal you are, the less you have to grind. Let's get over top of this here. We'll make this inner fender as easy as possible. So, basically, this is my plan. I look at a inner fender. This car is not on the right chassis, so I'm not able to shove the inner fender on because it's not on the right chassis. Basically, I'm going to make the wheel well, and then somehow, some way, we're going to get the body off this chassis in somehow, some way. Whether I have to junk it up or what I got to do, the frame is going outdoors because I do not want it. It's not for anything. Maybe the rear end I could use and the rims and stuff I would use, but the chassis I would say is pretty well going in the metal bin. Yeah, so let's do this. I got a fender. This is how I do it. I got a fender. I'm going to lay the fender on the metal, obviously. Now, I've got a straight edge on the bottom. I'm going to use that straight edge. and I'm going to use all the metal that goes around there. So basically what I do is I take the shape of the fender, take my marker, if any line does not look straight, when I cut it, I make it straight. You can do this to any fender you want or any car you want to make a wheel well. Just taking the shape off. I got 3 or 4 lines there, and that's just to keep me guessing. I'm going to take that in a little bit. So, if I have that shape, I'm going to use the inside line. I'm going to use this one. Doesn't make any difference. I might just use the biggest line. And the reason I might use the biggest line is because I've got a little bit of rot. I've got this stuff here going on. I got a little bit of rot in here, and I want to try to get it. So basically, this is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to cut that out. That is going to be this piece. Obviously, that's this piece. So we'll cut this out. That's the shape of the fender. So that means, well, we'll just cut this out and go from there. If I get going, there's no sense showing you me doing it if I don't do it and explain it at the exact same time. Where's my trusty little drill that cuts? Where's that bad boy? There it is. I like this tool. It's still sharp, and it does not, or it hasn't stretched the metal yet. What I mean by stretch the metal, sometimes when you get these tools, I got a pair of shears there. They're not bad. The shears aren't. I get them at Princess Auto. The shears aren't bad. But sometimes as you get going and they get duller, they'll stretch the metal. And what I mean by stretch the metal, on the edge of the metal, it'll stretch it, make it kink it and sort of stuff. And it's not a good look on a piece of new metal that you're trying to do something nice with. So this what I'm doing right now will work on a Model A. It'll work on a 40. It'll work on a 30s. It could work on anything. You can make the wheel well as deep as you want. It could be used for what's it called? Tubbing. If you want to make wheel wells, to tub on your car, or tub your car, make bigger, fatter tires, and I can do that with the way I do it and make it easy. I can do it. I can do it. We'll just cut this out. Now, which one am I going with? I'm going with the inside one. And what I mean by stretch the metal, you can see right there how I stretched it. You see how I dented it there? Get a little out of shape there. I'll just take a little flapper wheel, knock that off. You can see how a little dent's there. That's kind of what you call stretching the metal. I've stretched it because I bent it. I got a flapper wheel over here, I think. Nope. Flapper wheel over here. Now I'm just going to tack this together, and the reason being is I do not know, I'm not sitting on the chassis that we're using, and I do not know if the wheel well is going to be on the outside of the chassis or on top of the chassis. If it's on top of the chassis, there'll be a shape that I need in here. You see I drew that on there with my finger. There'll be a shape in there, and then that will sit on top of the chassis. If the wheel well is outside the chassis, well, then there's a difference. Just straighten it out a little bit. Doing that by eye. Good. I feel like this is a very simple thing to do. Take your fender, trace the shape. Where's the other hammer I want? I had another hammer here. Does not matter, I guess. We'll use this one. Just want to flatten this out. Just want to take the stretch out if I can. I know the hammer stretches it, but it's kind of dented there, and I just want to take it out. Straighten it out a little bit. See a little wobbly there going on. And all I'm doing with this is taking the wobbles out. That's all I'm doing. Basically, got the shape of the fender. Now, I have got 2 pieces of metal. I have got 2 wheel wells. I think I want them the same, so I'm going to trace that one on there right now. I'm just going to pull this over and trace it on that piece of metal, just so I have it. This has got nothing to do with making a wheel well, but where I've got this one, I'm going to trace it on a piece of metal that we got delivered, just so we have it. And then that way there, I don't have to try to guess and see if it's the same or not. You already have it. It's a good idea. I'm doing both sides. I'm going to have to build a floor for this car. And the reason I'm going to have to build a floor for it is because I don't like it. I don't like what it looks like. But it's usable, obviously. It's usable. It really is. But I think I can do a little better job with some square tubing, like we did on Jolene's race car, the exact same thing. Now I've got that shape. I see I got a little bit of wobble going here, a little bit of stretch. Fix that. Now what I'm going to do is, on this wheel well, I could, I'm not going to do it yet. I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not. I could put some bead rolls in it. The bead roller that I want to use, guess what? It's buried in the storage container over there. That's where it's at. But as I have this on here, if I wanted to do something like what they got going on, I could bead roll that in. I could bead roll that in before I do the next piece. And this is what I would do this time. I would take it up here, and I would wheel this here. I would wheel that line there, and I would wheel that line there. And then when I run it into the bead roller, my metal's not going to go like this. Oh, you know what I mean? I've already stretched it with the English wheel. That's another reason why I like to have it, so I can use that. And that's what I would do. So I'd take the English wheel, I would roll it here, back and forth, just a low contour. I don't want to put any shape in it. I want to stretch it. So when I bead roll it, it's already stretched, and then the stretch will be there for the bead roller to allow the metal to take. Instead of taking the metal away from this, it's already stretched a little bit so it don't get all out of shape, basically. And as you can see, I can make any shape on there I want to. I can make a shape all the way around the outside if I want to, 2 inches all the way around, and go all the way around and step roll it, and then bring it around and do that I can, and then put this inside if I want to. It's all up to the desired person. For me, I feel like do whatever you like, because let's face it, not many people are going to have their head up inside that wheel well when we're going down the road, or when we're driving, or we're anything. The wheel's going to be in there, whatever, but it is nice to have a little bit of strength on the inside of the wheel well. Now, I have this piece. I'm saying that this piece is that shape. If not, it's good enough for me, because it fits that fender that we tried that fender on that there. It fits, you know, it fits good as it can fit with that piece of metal welded on there. Yes, it does. Nothing has changed here on this. Nothing has changed here on this. You would on the quarter panel. Yes, the quarter panel is laid over because we cut it. We shrunk it. By shrunking it, we took some metal out of it. We laid it over, but that did not change that, because we're not bending that in there. This edge here might have bent over. You know, we're bending the quarter panel over, but this has not changed inside here. You're not bending that flat piece of metal there. That hasn't changed one bit when we laid that in. There's a piece of metal welded all on there. There's weld all on there. That has not changed. What has changed is the angle of the quarter panel. So the fender is going to basically fit on the same. But when I go to I'm going to cut this off, I want to get rid of all that. So I'm going to cut it up in here, right above all this. I'm going to get rid of it all because I do not want it. It's not attractive. It has a bunch of patches on it. It has a bunch of whatever on it. So that's why I followed the shape of the fender, because that is the shape of that quarter panel. Now that I have the flat piece of the inside of the wheel well, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of metal all the way around it. And what I'm going to do is I'll show you how I do that. Sometimes if you have something that's round and you cannot, it's hard to get the measurement of, what can I say? It's hard to get the measurement of that with a measuring tape, is it not? Sure is. Let's do it with a piece of tape. So a piece of tape, just take a piece of tape. Probably going to need the whole strip anyways. Now, this is not going to exactly give you a true read because the inside line is shorter than the outside line, basically. But it is going to give me a length that I need. And if it's longer than I need, that's great. So we're going to come back here. You can do this on anything, like if anything at all, anything at all. Bring it back here. I'm going to cut the full piece off now to see how long it is. Cut the full piece. And the reason being is it's better too long and too short. But if you want a measurement of something that's in that shape, wrap a piece of tape around it. It'll give you close enough or longer than you need so you get what you need. So I'll take this out of here. Now, this is the way I look at this thing. As I see, tape measure. As I see the wheel well, I'm not going to try to complicate it at all, and this is how I'm not going to complicate it. When I put the tape measure in here, my farthest distance out, like when I, so let's get a level here, just so you can see, and we both know together. Now, if I go into my farthest distance, and I don't know, my farthest distance I would say would be here. We'll go right there. We get this straight up and down, and what I mean by straight up and down is get that there. Now we measure that in there. We got 6.5 inches. That's our farthest distance, 6.5 inches. I can go on the other side if you like, sweetheart. Oh, sorry. Is it 6.5 there? Yeah, 6.5 inches. So we got 6.5 inches. That tells me that the widest piece of metal, or the widest place of the wheel well, is 6.5. I would never do just 6.5, and the reason being is, because, this is the reason being, I would never do 6.5, because I would want more than I need, just like always, you want more than you need. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm going to cut we'll say we're going to cut an 8-inch strip off of this, give ourselves 1.5 inches, so we'll be 1.5 inches too far out at our widest place. So if I go 8.5, we'll go 8.5 to give us 2 inches wider. 8.5. 8.5. 8.5. 8.5. 8.5. 8.5. 8.5. Looks good for 8.5. So if I go 8.5, I already know if I took it all the way into 8.5 to our widest place, I could get a 2-inch wider tire. Yes, I can. I can get a 2-inch wider tire if I take it all the way in. But basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a strip off of this, 8.5, 2 inches wider than the widest part of the wheel well. I'm going to take that strip. Let's cut it off. We're 2 inches wider, so we should be, there's lots of metal. We're 2 inches wider. I'm going to do another one just in case. Not just in case, just so we get the line straight, I guess. Let's cut that. And I'm just going to tack this together so we can see what's going on. That's basically what I'm going to do. And this is universal. This is universal. This is for anything that you wanted to make a wheel well for. Basically, this is anything you want to make a wheel well for. What I've done is I went 2 inches wider than what the wheel well is itself. The reason being is, and I'm going to show you here in a second. Glasses. Jolene looks amazing today. I want to thank everybody for voting on the jet set. I think it comes down today or tomorrow. Thursday it comes down. If she wins her division, that means she's on to the
quarterfinals.
The quarterfinals, and I think all votes start over again. So we'll be on you again. But thanks everybody. We appreciate it. Yeah. Jolene appreciates it. I know that.
I do.
You know, to show someone support, it really does say something. Tinsel for the Christmas tree. Sped her up there a little bit. Alrighty, got our piece cut off. We know it's too long. That's okay. And the reason it's okay is because we can cut it off. If it's too short is when it matters. Okay. Now, when I go to weld, I'm going to weld this piece or tack this piece to that right there. Not put the beads in it yet because, like I said, the bead roller that I want to use is not here. It's in the other room. We'll see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack. We're going to tack this together just to show how I'm going to go about it. And what I'm going to do is I got a cut edge and I've got a straight edge. Guess what edge I'm going to use? The straight edge. The cut edge is, you know, I'm not perfectly on the line. And I could have been, I guess, if I paid more attention. But I know I have a cut edge. So this is what's going to happen. Turn me on, boys. More ways than one. I'm just joking, sweetheart. I'm not really though, but I got the welder going, just over here doing a little bit of welding. Are you able to grab I got the power cord, I guess. So we're just going to tack this on, and I'm going to show you the bases of what I'm doing. I'm going to open the tank all the way up because I'm taking the suggestion from the YouTubers. I'm taking it. If it works, hallelujah. And if it doesn't, it didn't hurt me to do it. I'm going to put this on the end of this. I got a helmet over there. I just want to show how simple this really is. And when you build as many cars as I have, this is something that should be, well, it gets done quickly when you know your wheel wells are gone in your car. It gets done quickly. Just going to take this, just going to knock it on lightly. And the reason being I'm going to knock it on lightly is because I'm probably going to pop it back off. pop it back off. Just want that in there like that. Remember, there's more than one way to skin a cat. This is not the only way to make wheel wells, that's for sure. But, pretty quick. Now I'm just going to leave that like that for now. I would have something bead rolled in there. I am not nowhere near being able to put them in yet. But I'm able to tack together like that to get the wheel well going, to get something going. But basically, I have not got the chassis and all that sort of stuff to cut this shape in here. And I would know that shape after I have the chassis or the floor made. But as we get going, I do not want to stop. So I'm just going to take the shear and knock this off. And I just want to show you something. Just going to knock it off a little. I'm going to draw a line just because I don't want to get it crooked. It's going to make it a little bit long. I'll stay on the outside of that. Give it a little bit of length. Now, this is the part that I find is nice. This is exactly the exact same thing as if you were going to French a taillight, French a license plate thing, French anything. So as I have that 2.5 inches wider than the widest part of the wheel well, this means, you know what this means? When I take a zip cut and I come along here and I cut that out, all the way along there, all the way up around there, there'll be nothing there. When I go to take the wheel well, I can shove the wheel well in as far as I want. Basically, I can shove it into the 8.5 and give me 2 extra inches if I want to. Basically, I can. And when I shove it in there, so if I'm 8.5 inches here, well, I'm only 2 or 3 there. Well, that means once I shove it in, I can't shove it in with the wheel on. Once I shove it in to my 8.5 to my widest part, then I come along with my marker and I draw it off. So if I'm 2 inches in here and it comes out around like this to the 8.5 and then comes all the way back into mere nothing, well, that means I can do that with this piece now that I have that 8.5 the whole way. So instead of trying to guess, you know, what the wheel well is, what the shape is, take your fender, trace the shape that you want, cut your shape out of metal, add more than you need for the depth. Just because their wheel well goes on an angle and comes up like this doesn't mean that ours have to, you know. We're making our own wheel well. We do what you please and do what you want. But basically, once I cut that out and pull that out, the quarter panel's still going to be there. I can brace it if I want to. If I want to put a brace on the other side and hold it if I want to, you can if you want to. And I might, you never know. It all depends. But that means I can take this wheel well and I can shove it in there the distance I want and then come out and mark that off so it fits where it needs to be. If you basically know what I'm saying. So I've Frenched the wheel well. I cannot put the beads in it yet because I do not know what I'm doing for this part. Do not know what I'm doing there yet. Also, when it comes for time for interior, to me, it's easier to cover this than it is this. I've done this in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I have no idea. Or you could get a great big machine and try to flop it over and shrink it to get that and then come over and fight with it. You can if you want to. But basically, when you open the trunk, you're going to have a wheel well that's easy to cover. No, it's brand new. It's brand new, and I'm going to weld it on. I'm going to weld it on once we zip cut it on. I'll weld it right on this edge, all the way around. So there's no real big mess. Like, it's that easy. Also, where I've done 2 inches wider, I'm basically going to leave probably an inch. I'm probably going to leave an inch or so on the outside. I can't see myself needing a much wider tire than that. You know, I'm not going for a tub, I don't think. But anyway, basically what I'm saying is, also, if I leave an inch or more hanging out, and I got probably, well, there's nothing here, so we're going to be cutting off to nothing down here. Well, we'll leave an inch and a half because we're an inch and a half too long, so we'll have an inch and a half. But all this metal that's left here, when that's hanging out there and I put it in there where I want it, all that metal's hanging out, which I probably will leave it, then I can take my steel fender, if I want to. I don't have to bolt it on. I can lay my steel fender right on top of it and weld it on. And basically, I probably will do that and make a piece go from the car to the fender. So basically what's going to happen is the fender is going to sit on top of it. And the reason I'm not getting right on top there right this second, just like that. Now I can put my fender on top of that and weld another piece from there to the car. So now I've got my inner fender that's welded to my car. And then if I want to weld my steel fender and smooth it off so it looks smooth, now I got a chance to weld my fender to the inner fender and to the car. So I can do two things here now. I can have a tub. I can have it in there further than it needs to be with the axe metal sticking out, and I can trim it off and put it back where it originally was. Or I can leave the excess metal sticking out, trim off, leave an inch and a half or inch or 2 inches or 3 inches or whatever width you wanted. Maybe I should have took the whole thing. Maybe, now it's in hindsight. But now that I've got that piece of metal sticking out there and I got my wheel well in place and I've welded it, now I can make my fenders wider if I want to. You know, in the back I've got all that metal. I've got another 2 inches out here. I've got a whole bunch of metal there, so I can make my fenders wider now. Now that I put that wheel well in there and I've got that metal sticking out, now I can adjust my fender where I want it. And that's basically how I make wheel wells. Make this piece wider than you need it. Make this piece the shape of the wheel well. Cut this out and shove it in. Trim it off if you want to. Leave the excess to make wider fenders if you want to. Very universal for 30s, 40s, whatever kind of car you want to make your fenders wider. That's an easy step to do, and I just showed you in amount of minutes how to make a wheel well. We have, yeah, so we're looking good. So we've got 2 inches wider here. So we can widen our fenders 2 inches if we want to and have the original inner fender. We got the original inner fender there now. We've got a fat tire on there like that. So we've, to me, I've got lots of tire, plus I've got 2 inches to widen my fender out if I want to. And my fender can sit on it to hold it so I can weld it on there, and then I can make my stripped piece to go down over after. That's basically how I'm going to make the inner fenders. That's basically what I did. I showed you in minutes. You can make what you want on the inside for bead rolling, and the metal that, you know, that's in there, or the metal that you've put in there, it's all brand new. It's not pieced up. Perfect. Thanks everybody for, you know, for giving Jolene the votes and all that sort of stuff. We appreciate it. We really do. We're going to do some more welding today. Did we show this side? No, not yet. Let's go. We got some grinding done, or I got some grinding done on this piece where Jolene stitched that together. We got the quarter panel stitched there together. I just put some tape on it just to show where it's incisioned. You know, just for me, for me to see what the car is going to look like. I like visuals, and I want it to see what it's looking like. I get that tape off. We got that all ground off, so that looks good. It was quite a bit of welding, yes it was, but nothing's warped up. That's the basics of it. Nothing's warped up, and that's what we're happy with. And we'll just keep going from there. So right now I'm doing the back from the window. I got some welding I can do up along here. I got to get that done. All the roof is done. That is done. I put a piece on this side of the door. I got this one looking real good as the other one. You can see how the top of the door is going to look, more or less. I got to finish the roof there, but you can see how that's going to look. I got my piece straightened out yesterday. I'm happy with that. The piece on the top of this door I showed you earlier with the stick, just to show you how nice and straight it is. We're basically cruising. So with the wheel wells that I've made, I've just stuck them together. I need 2, and that replaces all the rotten sheet metal in the wheel wells. That replaces it all. That deals with it all, and I'm very happy with that. Also, if it's not good enough, I can shove it up a little bit. I can shove the wheel wells up a little bit. That means I'm going to be sectioning it a little bit. I see I got some pinholes on the bottom of the doors. You just never know. I might even, if it takes me to get rid of some stuff, I got some pinholes down here. Got some pinholes there. I got a piece of metal that I want to replace there. If I wanted to shove that up a little ways to get rid of some of the pinholes down the bottom, and I might, you never know, because I got to fix the doors anyways. That's where all the customizing come from, is rust, basically. I would say that's where sectioning come from. There was some rust on the bottom, so they took it off. So basically I can take the wheel well and push it up if I want to. That means the fender comes up. That means the bottom of the door comes off. That means whatever, so on and so forth. But there's an easy way to make a wheel well and put it inside your car with basically nothing but a welder and a pair of shears and some metal and some know-how. And it's universal. You can do it on a Model A. You can do it on a 34, you can do it on a 32. It basically, if you don't care, if it doesn't bother you what the shape that the wheel well looks like and you can't see it, what does it matter? All right, it's computer time. Look at the snow we got out there. Huh? Look at the snow we get out there. I'm telling you, crazy. Isn't it, Fina? It's crazy. Let's give away a hat or a shirt. Let's do it. I like that Hot Wheels car. The snow is keeping me indoors. I can't shove it outdoors because you can't get the door open. So the people that think I'm just going to chop it and throw it outdoors, well, I probably would have, but I can't now. I think I explained that earlier during the year when I'm doing the YouTube videos. Once winter comes, you get inside with your project, and that's basically the end of it. I found an opening with some snow, and I dug that thing in here because I wanted to chop something. And now you see where I'm at. 453 comments. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We do so. We appreciate all the votes for Jolene for Jet Setter. It's going to be a little bit of a process, but we just keep at it, and she'll get her. William Lee, Bruce Lee's brother, and I'm his uncle, Ugly. Comment, Chad, you rock. Sometimes. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I like good comments. And you rock too, William. You get a hat or a shirt of your choice. And we appreciate you commenting. That's why you're getting a hat or shirt of your choice. And that wheel well thing, I think I did the exact same wheel wells on your car, Jolene. I think I did the exact same thing. I made a shape. I shoved it in. Whatever excess was left over, I cut it off. And I think on the way to, not a way to heaven, but on Rural Respect, the 39 Studebaker. The fenders are wider in the back. They're widened out and give us that big look in the back. And it was done just exactly how we done that. We put a wider lip on the top. We shoved the wheel well in where we wanted it. There was the access metal. When access metal was there, that gives us a chance to make the fender as wide as we want it to. The wheel well got welded to the car, but the access metal was left to weld to the fender. And we were able to, I think we widened it 4 or 5 inches maybe, I'm not sure. But that's a basic, easy thing to do to your hot rod or a car that you have to make a wheel well. And I just showed you. Make the shape, put a 8-10 inches on the top of it, more than you need. French it in wherever you need it. Tack it. If you want to cut the access off, go ahead. If you want to widen your fender up, there's metal there to do it. Have a good one, everybody. See you tomorrow.